Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and those of us that are actually bothering with this. We have a random stream, and, well, let's be honest, I say random. We're doing this quite often at the weekend. I actually quite like it. It allows MC to catch up on the interesting news, and to be honest, it's as funny as hell to me. Now, MC, I believe you have some things you want to teach these wonderful people.
Teach. No, we're just gonna.
No, I remember what the second to last and last story is. I think teach applies.
Oh, you do. Do you think that do you think people have a religious epiphany when I go into those?
Or I think they're not going to walk around with copper helmets on. Let's put it that
way. Okay. I guess that'll work. Let me lower this a little bit here. I got my headphones on so it don't cause any reverb from the storylines. I think we'll start with this story here. Now, I was talking to a good friend of mine. You have no friends. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and I mentioned that I don't, that in general I like cops. Right? His response was, "Well, I don't." But that's neither here nor there.
I would like to point out I do like cops, and I can eat a whole one.
Because the thing about police officers is that people have the wrong view of what police are there for. Police are not there for their primary mission in life. The primary reason you have police is to ensure public order. All right. Now, unfortunately, politicians are the ones who get to define what public order is, and if you're going by an elected representative system, that's really, in the end, it should be you. Okay? So all the ire that I think that a lot of these people, project toward cops has to do with the fact that they are doing their jobs, all right, as defined by the fact that they're there to establish public order defined by the politicians. If you don't want them to be defining something as stupid as this, okay? This is an absolutely ridiculous story, all right? I mean, and it's unfortunately it's true. And I'm going to go ahead and play this.
Now, she was wanted on a felony charge, get this, because she failed to return a VHS movie rental 21 years ago.
The felony charge
warrant for embezzlement was discovered when she tried to renew her Texas driver's license.
For a videotape.
Bride says she has no memory of renting Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and the video store is long gone. Prosecutors have dismissed the charges.
Now, it's good that the prosecutors dismissed the charges, right? But how did this get to a felony charge?
Yeah.
Look, I understand that. I mean, I understand there were a problem with people stealing videotapes and so forth, right? But it's a single VHS tape from 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
And that videotape was back then was what? $15?
About that. Yeah.
You issued a felony charge on a $15 warrant.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, let's be honest, okay? If we actually took a poll, in fact, actually, to hell with it, let's take a poll. Ladies, gentlemen, whatever else you want to call yourself, please put a 0 in chat if you own a working VHS recorder. No.
Put up Jason's frickin'.
It's just, I think it's an appropriate thing. And yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot of zeros at this exact moment. So, oh my God. There are 2 people. Yeah, well, CSG, you're old enough. It's okay. Hey, Aaron.
Are we ready to move on to the next story?
Oh my God, lots of people actually have working VHS machines.
3 is a lot.
Yeah.
You consider that three a heavy load, do you?
When you work on the idea we've probably only got about 5 people watching, I would say, yeah, that's over 50%.
I used to have not just a VHS, but a television that had VHS built into it.
Oh my god. And you complain about me being old. Screw you,
Well,
Jacob.
Well, when you think about it, how old are VHS?
I don't know when they came out, I'm going to be honest.
Well, I mean, they were pretty ubiquitous about 10 years ago.
True.
Right?
I think I'm just used to CDs. I really am. I automatically think CD. That's it.
There are 4 people watching, Jason. On to the next story. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Police swarm the mortified mom who left her corpse outside. Now, this is a picture of Heidi Klum, so don't think that this is what the picture looked like. Although that was a pretty impressive picture for this.
He's joking.
woman
That's
was
actually
mortified.
a picture of Sharati. That's what it said. That's what she really looks like, people. You've now seen the image.
A UK woman was mortified after errantly placing a Halloween prop prompted a squad of 10 police officers to surround her home on suspicion that she'd committed murder. I arrived home from school, from a school run, to see 2 police cars driving away from the outside of my house. The fiasco was sparked by a dummy wrapped in garbage bags and duct tape that the mother of 2 had used as a spooky decoration at a kid's Halloween party. My 5-year-old's boy is really into dressing up for every occasion, and so we did the inside up in a circus theme, and he dressed it as that. So the prop in the garden was part of our theme. Okay. So it wasn't even like that. It just looked like a
Yeah. I don't see what the problem is. I really don't. I mean, didn't John Wayne Gacy do something similar? Oh, perhaps I shouldn't bring that up.
Well, he didn't leave it propped up outside of his house.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, this woman is a single mother of 2, from what it looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me why you wouldn't walk up and go, "What the hell is that?" Why do you got to call the police?
Yeah, no. Actually, I tell you what that is. That is the Karen attitude of the modern world. It really is. Immediately complain. Don't bother inquiring first.
Yeah, I think that the idea, that's one of the problems I think with social media, and actually it's also a problem with these masks.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what I mean by that is people are getting used to the fact that they don't see one another. They don't interact with one another in a face-to-face, in a more intimate relationship. And I'm not talking about intimate, in any kind of romantic involving aspect of it at all. I'm talking about your people like the fact that when they got a mask on, you don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They feel empowered because they got a mask on. The social constraints are lifted, but that's not necessarily good for interaction of human beings. Shut up, Boober.
I don't know if that's to you or me. That's the funny thing.
I take it as me because I'm the one doing most of the talking, I should say.
Fair point, sir.
So, no, but I mean, it's one of the things that's irritated me with this whole mask thing is there's plenty of people that want to keep the mask on, even after they've been inoculated.
Oh, you saw that then? They're
all over
the left.
They're doing stories of how they feel free when they got a mask on.
Yeah. That's. I don't actually know what to say to this. I mean, I know technically I would be considered a bit weird on the right because I do wear a mask, but I don't do it because of the virus. I literally do it because I don't want to smell my neighbours. It's as
Well,
simple as that. Okay. No, 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 dude. You stand in Lidl's getting your shopping, and I swear to you, all you can smell is other people's body odor. It's really disturbing. I like my mask.
you like your mask?
Oh yeah.
You're gonna go. You're gonna go a full gas mask type of thing.
Oh, if I could wear an S10, I would. And actually, it's funny you say that. I actually did cough borrow an S10 one time when I came back from the army, and I I sort of went to the local convenience store wearing it. I got an interesting reaction from the guys behind the counter, I've got to say, but it was funny.
I can imagine. But no, this whole mask thing. I mean, for all the people that are talking about this disease and everything, and I've been pretty upfront, all right, about getting the vaccination. I don't consider myself at risk, all right, of COVID-19, and as a result, I see no reason to get the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for all those people who are like, "Oh, he's one of those anti-vaxxers," if I'm told by my boss that if my continued employment hinges upon me getting the shot, which in my case, all right, is not necessarily unreasonable. Okay, you got to understand this. All right,
Mm-hmm.
I work for a company that makes medical equipment.
Yeah.
So the fact that I got to go to hospitals, the fact that I got to go to some of these areas, I can see where they would make that a requirement. All right, and it's not something that I like, but I can see why they would make the requirement. Right.
Yeah.
If they tell me that I need to do that, then I will. But aside from that, I won't get the shot unless I feel like I need to get the shot. And I don't feel like I need to get the shot. I'm healthy. Well, aside from a little extra flab around my waistline, but aside from that, I'm a healthy person. I don't need the shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I agree.
And no one's going to catch something from me if I'm healthy. It's not rocket science, right? It's just basic science.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the confusion with this is and people, I think, I had a radio that played both CDs and cassettes. I remember when cassette players didn't exist.
I
remember when 8-track tape came out. All right, if you want to know the truth of the matter.
I had to have 8 tracks explained to me because I didn't know what one was.
Oh yeah, it was but they worked.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
The thing about them is, I know a lot of people were upset about them, but they worked. I mean, they for the time frame in which they existed, people. All right, what we've done technologically and how we've advanced technologically, all right, it's utterly impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. With just the kind of thinking that has gone on, all right, and things that have been developed. People don't even understand, why things are the way they are and where technology has come into it. Right? One of the things, for example, people forget this. Audio recordings, right, were either done, on like a record style type of medium, all right?
Yep.
Initially, magnetic tape is actually something that came into being because in just prior to World War II, the Nazis had developed wire. They realized you could record audio signals on wire, and they were recording speeches given by Hitler, right? And they were taking them to various places and playing them. And when that was going on, a lot of the for lack of a better term, spies that were trying to keep an eye on what was going on, they were thinking that Hitler was in all sorts of places simultaneously. All right, because all of a sudden there's these speeches, given in Nuremberg and given up in Berlin and then over there in Hanover, and they're like, "Well, how the hell is he getting around like this?" Right? And it's because they had this type of audio recording, and they didn't know that it was like that. Well, back in my days, so I'll be back. And this is just a history lesson, is what I'm trying to point out.
Oh yeah.
And so when they first came up with magnetic tape, I mean, this was a major advancement. All right, but when they first created magnetic tape and realized how to make it useful, which is what came from like the wire reels, right?
Yeah.
When they first did that, from that point to where you have it going into, homes and things like that, it was a long time.
Mm-hmm. And
the only reason that it was taking that long is that people hadn't really, they were really getting into other areas, and they were waiting for other things to happen. It's not that the technological capabilities of VHS, for example, all right, couldn't have been utilized. Just nobody had thought of it. Okay. And there were, because of other things that they were concentrating on. People were concentrating on going from tubes to transistors, right? And then they were exploring all the things with transistors that you could do. But the reality is everything you do with a transistor, you can do with a tube. All right. Yeah. It's just with a transistor, it's much smaller, much smaller. Right.
Yeah.
So, and of course, that's also true of the power that's necessary in order to do the same things. Right. I'm just pointing out, how all this technology came about. And so when they first came out with 8-track tapes, 8-track tapes were like a godsend because, one, they didn't break. They weren't a piece of plastic like a record player with a bouncing needle.
Yeah.
Right? And it allowed people to be mobile. You could put an 8-track tape player in your car.
Yep.
Okay? And the 8-track tapes lasted 2 years, folks. 2 years. That's all they lasted. Right? They were a thing for about 2 years, maybe 3, before the cassettes came out. And cassettes immediately replaced them. The problem with cassettes was that people learned, hey, I can record too. And then...
Sorry.
And then it was Katie bar the door. Then came CDs, and music companies were really happy about CDs because recording on CDs, to another CD was a lot more difficult initially. And then once writable CDs came about, you are where you are today with digital media. For those who don't know how videotape works, the way videotape works is the head is at an angle, all right? So if you're taking a look at how the data is stored, this data is stored at an angle vertically, all right, as it goes through, all right? Okay. That's what that head is doing. That's what that spinning head does, right? And you have what they call a sync track. So it syncs on those tracks, on those heads, right? That's how you're able to put that much data. With video, it's a lot more information. You're able to do that on that kind of a tape. It takes it because you can now rotate roll the tape. All right. That's how they work. Okay. Prior to that, the most you could do if you're just doing a straight line, right, is 5 minutes worth of video.
Fair.
Now that you start using more of the tape, the entire surface of the tape, you can you get the whole thing. Ready to move on to the next story?
When you are ready, sir.
Okay. We were talking about masks, and we were talking about people trying to get the COVID shots, right? Vlad the Vaccinator. Dracula Castle lures visitors with COVID-19 jabs. Bucharest. Visitors to Dracula's castle are more likely to find puncture marks in their arms than their necks over the next month after medics set up a COVID-19 vaccination center in the Transylvanian attraction. Doctors and nurses with fang stickers on their scrubs are offering free Pfizer shots to all comers at the 14th century Bram Stoker or Bran Castle, right, which is purported to be the inspiration for the vampire towering home of Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. Castle staff hope that the service will bring more people to the site in the Romanian Carpathian Mountains, where tourist numbers have plummeted since the start of a pandemic. Well, I think people have the numbers started because of the pandemic, because, well, quite frankly, you weren't allowed to go out anywhere.
Yeah. Well, so that still horrifies me. The fact that they're actually doing this. It's just, wow.
Well, if you want to go visit the castle, right? Which, if I had the opportunity to do it at the time, I would have done it, right? It's not on. It is in itself is not on my bucket list of places I really want to visit, right? But I wouldn't mind seeing it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's several things that I know that are on my bucket list that I'm never going to. I'm not going to get there. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Right? For example, I'm never going to visit the Great Wall of China. I would love to see the Great Wall, right? I'm not going to be able to climb up to Mount Machu Picchu, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see it. Right. I'm into that kind of history and everything, but at the same time, I don't think I'll ever have the means nor the free time to do something like that. Right.
Okay.
It's just some of the things on my bucket list that I would love to do that I'm not going to be able to do, and I've accepted that. Right? On the other hand, go ahead.
My point with this is that, okay, you can get the jab, but because they jab you, they're then going to let you in straight away? That seems a little, how am I going to put this, insane. I don't know how it is with you guys, but with the AstraZeneca, they're expecting you to wait 12 weeks before you get part 2 of the injection. Apparently, these people are going to let you in straight away. What a concept.
I mean, what are you expecting to do? I mean, they're trying to drive up tourism.
Yeah.
And at least with these guys, right? These are people who want to get the shot, right?
True.
Okay. They're not saying you have to get the shot to visit Dracula's castle, are they?
True.
All right.
Yeah,
they just want people to come there and get the shot. Now, in the U.S., right now, they're freaking out. All right, the government has started freaking out right now in the U.S. People don't even recognize this because they haven't talked about it. But if you take a look at it, like in Ohio, the governor, in order to try and get people to take the shot, is offering everyone who comes in for a free shot to get $1 million lottery ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they are desperate to get people to get the shot. Yeah. Because people aren't coming in. They're not beating down the door to get the shot. Now, there's plenty of people that have gotten the shot.
I think I'm about to get called an anti-vaxxer, which is kind of funny when you work on the idea I've actually had the first injection. But back in the old days, yes, I actually get to do an impression of MC here with all the ancient shit. Back when I was only a middle-aged man in the Roman Empire, yeah, you heard me, They actually had a thing called bread and circuses to keep people happy, where they would basically have cheap as all hell seats to go into the Colosseum and cheap as all hell food to keep people to shut up. Now, they're giving away money to get the injections, and they're providing, how am I going to put this, crap on TV. That to me sounds like bread and circuses.
well, it is bread and circuses. Come on.
Yeah, that's not good. You know, I just want to say that's a little bit disturbing.
Well, I mean, it is disturbing in that they're trying to do things, all right, to get people. The thing that should be disturbing to the government is they failed to convince people with a full-on, year-long propaganda campaign. All right, they failed to convince people that this was a deadly disease.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States. I'm talking about in the United States. I'm not talking about anywhere else in the world right now. I'm just talking about in the United States. They failed to convince people that this disease was deadly, that they were going to die if they didn't obey the government. And they thought that because of the acquiescence, and that's what it is, the acquiescence of wearing a mask, something that's antithetical to America.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They thought that they had gotten people in that, to that point. This is demonstrating that they never got people to that point. That people are more or less intelligent enough to determine for themselves when and if they should, get the shot, have the, live under government control.
Mm-hmm. Do what they're told.
Well, that's really what it is, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really comes down to the fact that this is something that people they were trying to convince people of, and people are smart enough to go, look, if I'm healthy, then my likelihood of catching the disease in a serious or having serious reactions to the disease, right, it is very minor, right? One of the people that I follow, and he's actually doing a live stream right now, I just noticed, is P-Dog Knight. And P-Dog Knight came down with it. Uh-huh. And his symptoms were, pretty mild. The only thing that was disconcerting for him, and I can, this would be disconcerting to anyone, to be honest, is he lost his sense of taste.
Yeah.
Okay. That would bother me. I'm not going to lie. If that happened to me, it would bother me. Yeah. Right? But would it cause me? It would cause me to. That right there would cause me to, not go outside.
Yeah.
To quarantine myself. But was he really, that contagious? His spouse didn't come down with it or seem to. How contagious is this really? It's the next question. And so for the people that are at high risk, all right, yeah, I can understand this, but for everyone else, no, they're not going to do it. And the government, with all this nonsense they keep trying to push on people are buying it. And it's going to cause more problems because the government doesn't want to let go of the control that they've had. The people that had that control don't want to let it go. You see that in Michigan right now. The CDC says you don't need to wear masks. What does the Michigan governor say? We're not changing our policies. I thought you were talking about the science, and now the CDC is telling you the science says don't wear a mask, and you're like, well, we don't care what the CDC says?
Well, we have discussed that. I mean, let's be honest. The left are now taking the mask as a badge of honor. We wear the mask, therefore we are on the left. That is just disturbing all on its own.
Well, I think that the people on the left want to keep the masks because they want to throw frickin' Molotov cocktails and not have the police pay them a visit.
This is fair.
You know. On to the next story. Alcohol made from radioactive Chernobyl apples seized by the Ukrainian government. The makers of Atomic say that the Ukrainian Secret Service took 1,500 bottles in violation of the law. I'm not sure that was the violation of the law. I think having the radioactive liquor might be a violation of the law. Just putting it out there. In 2019, a group of scientists and distillers decided to create a bold new type of booze, Atomic, an artisanal alcoholic spirit made from the ingredients grown in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant's still radioactive exclusion zone. The booze itself is not radioactive after the distilling process.
Sure.
How would you know? Do you have a survey meter with you? You got a Geiger counter?
Actually, that would have been a really tacky name if they'd called it Clicky, wouldn't it? Right there, that would be as tacky as all hell.
The more clicks, the more kick.
Oh my God, it's actually writing itself.
Now, the first batch of Atomic is finally complete, and all 1,500 bottles of it have been seized by the Ukrainian Secret Service for unknown reasons.
Yeah, we know that they're drinking it, okay? Let's get blunt. They're using it to get ratted. Okay, it is what it is.
Atomic is made from apples grown in the Ukraine's Narodaichi district, right, which sits on the edge of the exclusion zone and was heavily polluted by the fallout from the meltdown. The region still has a population of nearly 10,000 people, according to the Ukraine State Statistics Service, and must abide by stringent agricultural restrictions. With Atomic, Smith and his colleagues hope to prove that some products made near the exclusion zone can be safe for consumption, according to the company's website.
Wow. I don't know what to say.
All right. Now, let's talk about radioactivity for a moment. All right. I was joking about a survey meter and a Geiger counter a little while ago. Up until very recently, I had one in my home, all right, because for my job. Okay. I used it all the time. All right. But then again, I was working with radioactive isotopes.
Yeah.
Right? So, you kind of need those things to make sure that, well, you don't do something stupid. Right? The way you deal with radioactive isotopes is you try to make it so that at no point does it, are you looking at the radioactive isotope? Let's put it that way. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have various different processes that you follow. And as long as you follow those processes, you will never be, radiated accidentally. Right?
Yeah.
But the problem with an isotope versus a radioactivity that's generated with electricity, right, where you're taking an electron, you're slamming it into a tungsten alloy plate at high speed, that'll create a radioactive photon. The problem with those, with radioactive isotopes, is it's always radioactive. Okay, when you turn the electricity off, it's still radioactive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you don't have it in a container that's shielded, right, of dense material, it's even if it's in there, it's radioactive and could be harmful, potentially harmful. Now, with Chernobyl, the release of radioactive material from Chernobyl, there were a number of elements that were released. The one of most concern, of course, is cesium. Cesium 125, I believe, if I remember correctly. And why is cesium 125, dangerous because, quite frankly, it is an element that can be concentrated in the human body. It's not an element that your body excretes readily. There's certain things that you take in, like barium, right? If you take a barium solution, it goes in your body, you become radioactive. This is what they do for certain testings. They give you a barium drink, right, which is radioactive. All right. It goes into your body. It concentrates in certain areas that they want to look at, right? But they have to look at it pretty quick because your body excretes it very fast. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're not going to be radioactive for very long. Okay. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. I know when, with my lungs, they actually got me to breathe in the stuff that apparently put radioactive things in my lungs. So, hey, I'm sure that was safe for me.
Well, lung tissue is actually pretty tough. All right, when it comes to responding to radiation, believe it or not, that's one of the problems with it, though. Because if you get lung cancer, treating it with radiation, yeah, it'll help, but at the same time, you got to give a dose to the lungs that's pretty significant in comparison to the tissue around the lungs. Okay. But the concentration of cesium, plants have a tendency to absorb cesium as well, and they don't. The likelihood of them mutating is less than a human body or an animal body, right? Suffering a negative mutation with it. So because of this, like for example, at Bikini Islands, in the Bikini Atoll, several of the coconuts, all right, the regular coconuts, they have regular coconut palm trees. They found extraordinarily high levels of cesium. Right, radioactive cesium, right, from the from the nuclear tests. So that's what they're concerned about. When you do something like this, you're getting the alcohol from the apples, and most likely, and through the distillation process, cesium is not going to flow right into the product. Let's put it that way. I'm 100% positive that this product is safe. Okay. But then again, the fact that you're using it.
Actually, no. Actually, I'm going to make a point. You say that you're confident that it's not dangerous, etc. Would you drink it? If I put a glass of that in front of you, would you drink it?
Yeah.
You would be willing to take that risk, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to check.
Yeah. If you gave me a shot of that, I wouldn't have any qualms about downing the shot. In fact, I would probably try to play like I did. Oh my god! Oh my god! And then slurp it down. Look. All right, you have to understand how distillation and everything works. Any of the elements that you really have to worry about would be gone. So,
and as weird as it sounds, I actually sort of agree with Shirati here. Please pay attention to the road. We don't like our audience getting killed. It's apparently bad for our numbers.
Ready for the next story?
Please do.
Okay. My ex-husband fed our vegan daughter McNuggets without telling me. Oh, the sheer horror.
Yeah, before you do, I would just like to point out that this is the Mirror. Over here, we consider the Mirror slightly less believable than you guys would the Democrats. So,
yeah.
Does that cover it for you?
Okay, but do you doubt that this story is real?
Oh, good God, no. I just think the mother needs help. I don't think the kid's actually a vegan. I'm going to be completely blunt.
In this day and age, everyone has the right to choose what kind of diet and lifestyles they want to lead. Some people choose to be vegan. Others eat only fish. And some people consume meat products for breakfast, dinner, and tea. Well, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for us, I guess. Say that, right? But while grown adults have autonomy to decide for themselves what lifestyles they should choose to live, most children are likely to follow that of their parents rather than making any drastic lifestyle choices of their own. All right. Until they're a bit older, anyway. That's exactly what happened when one couple opted to raise a child as vegan, as it aligned with their belief system and fitted in with their own lifestyle and diet until they split up. I became a vegan when my ex and I moved in together because he was a vegan. He didn't like there being animal products in the house, the mom explained in the post. Right? This post on the Reddit's I Am an A-Hole forum. I learned more about the way food is made, and I agreed. I was a vegan while I was pregnant, and we raised our daughter vegan for 8-ish years until he got hungry. And probably got hungry in more ways than one. Just putting it out there. And so he fed his daughter chicken nuggets. Now, did he eat the chicken nuggets themselves? That's the next question.
True, that's actually
Picking it up the daughter from their ex-husband one day, the daughter said she was hungry but refused the apple mom offered, instead demanding chicken nuggets as they passed the golden arches of McDonald's. She has a full-blown meltdown demanding chicken nuggets.
Mm-hmm. Kind of puts aside the whole concept that the child's a vegan, doesn't it?
She hates me. I'm a terrible mom. Dad will let her eat chicken nuggets. She was crying. All right, let's stop right there. The child making that comment may or may not be accurate. You know as well as I do, children lie. Right?
This is
true. What they want. All right. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't. He may have been taking her there, right? But looking to see if at any point where he comes clean and says that he gave her chicken nuggets, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it anywhere.
No.
So I hate to say this, but lady, I think you've been played. Right now, maybe her ex-husband is no longer vegan. I don't, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned, right? But children lie. Understand this. This child may have told the ex-husband, "Mom has said it's okay for me to have chicken nuggets."
Yeah,
and he got played. All right, there's a lot of the children. The idea that children are honest, good-looking, just beautiful creatures sent from heaven. Okay, you can believe that if you want.
Yeah.
But children, especially single children,
mm-hmm.
are walking ids. All right, they're walking narcissists. The world revolves around them, all right? I have never met an only child that was not only into themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? They learn like everyone else does. But at the same time, I think this woman was played. I really freaking do. Children are assholes.
She's not wrong. Come on.
That's not where my children came from. Okay, I think we've had enough of the human stupid stories for the moment. Let's get into some few animal stories, shall we? Oh, this one's kind of human.
A nice little mix, this next one. I think it smoothed in nicely.
After a Chinese zoo covered up a leopard escape, 100 chickens are searching for the big cat.
I would just like people to think about what has been said there. Okay.
Chinese officials are hunting for an escaped leopard on the outskirts of the Hangzhou in eastern China over 3 weeks after it escaped from a safari park. Hunters have used many methods to try and find the elusive big cat, including deploying a small army of drones and releasing around 100 live chickens as bait. The leopard is one of 3 that escaped the safari park around 12 miles from the city. While their enclosure was being cleaned on April 19th, on April 21st, officials captured the first leopard after shooting it with a tranquilizer dart. On May 8th, they caught the second one, which had injuries to its hind leg, according to the Washington Post. Because the third leopard is still on the loose, local residents near the park have been warned to stay indoors for their own safety. Chinese officials issued a mass text message to local residents. Leopard tracks have been discovered near the mountain villages. Police are searching. Everyone, please securely close your doors and windows and do not go out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let the leopards run free, folks.
Leopard
You're not
lives
smart
matter.
enough, if you're not smart enough to keep them indoors and keep them in cages, well, let them run free. I don't see anything wrong with the cats getting back to nature. Right? Isn't that what this is all about? You know?
It's true.
Now, why they were thinking releasing 100 chickens to roam around is going to help you catch this.
Yeah.
Well, do you think that, okay, now, for those who don't know anything about leopards, all right, leopards are they're a big cat. They can kill humans, all right? There's no doubt about that. But they're nocturnal. They're nocturnal creatures that tend to hunt at night.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's more is when they kill prey, they tend to kill prey that they can move. For example, in Africa, leopards often kill like a gazelle and literally drag it up a tree.
Yeah.
All right, dozens of feet in the air, so that they can eat this animal without being disturbed by any other large carnivores. Right? They're a powerful animal, but they're also a very secluded animal. An animal that kills chickens, for example, if it killed a chicken, it would kill the chicken and leave with it. It's not going to sit there and go, okay, I killed the chicken. It's time to get the fork and knives out. Put the little bib on like the cartoon. They don't do that. Okay, they take the prey to where they themselves are safe. So unless you've got some kind of radio collar on these freaking chickens, maybe they do. Maybe
they're actually going to say that, aren't they? They have electronic tags on these chickens.
Well, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in the story.
I hope not. That would be a little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the story. It doesn't say that in there. They put radio collars on the chickens to find them. They just basically say that, well, we've kind of spotted it here and there, but other than that, it's gotten away.
Geniuses, a lot of them really are absolute geniuses.
And when you're talking mountain villages and things like that, can you tell me why the cat would go after the single chicken on the loose rather than the whole herd of chickens that are in a cage sitting in front of it?
Yeah,
because that cage isn't going to keep out a big cat.
No.
Okay, just put it out there, folks. The cat, if it's looking for chickens, can get plenty from the local populace.
Yeah. And while it's there, it can change its diet and get some of the populace. Because, hey.
Pork, longshank, what's the difference? Piglet here and there, I just pointed out.
It kind of actually says something about Britain complaining about our foxes. We have foxes. China has leopards. I like China. I think they actually got the right idea. Get the leopards in to deal with the foxes. That's right. I'm taking it there.
So basically, you want to take leopards and release a whole slew of them in the highlands. Is that what you're trying to suggest here, Jenson?
If I could actually release a whole slew of them in the Highlands of Scotland, I would be a happy bear.
And you wonder why the Scots hate the English.
We're returning them to nature. Shut up. Be happy.
Look, we're saving the wildlife, right?
Exactly.
On to the next story. Wild horses adopted under a federal program are going to slaughter. Conservation at its best. Conservation at its best. In a lifetime of working with horses, Gary Kidd, 73, had never adopted an untrained wild Mustang before. But when the federal government started paying people up to $1,000 a horse to adopt them, he signed up for as many as he could. So did his wife and 2 grown daughters and son-in-law. Kidd, who owns a small farm near Hope, Arkansas, said in a recent telephone interview that he was using the Mustangs, which are protected under federal law, to breed colts, and that they were happily eating green grass in his pasture. In fact, by the time he spoke on the phone, the animals were long gone. Records show that Mr. Kidd had sold them almost as soon as he legally could, and he and his family received at least $20,000, and the Mustangs ended up at a dusty Texas livestock auction frequented by slaughterhouse brokers known as kill buyers.
Wow.
In other words, this guy took $1,000 from the federal government, fed these animals for a little bit, and sold them for $20,000. This is a profit-making exercise.
Don't make that suggestion, MC. You know some genius out there is probably going to go, ooh, that's a good idea.
When asked about the sale, Mr. Kidd abruptly hung up. The Bureau of Land Management, which is in charge of caring for the nation's wild horses, created the $1,000 a head adoption incentive program in 2019 because it wanted to move a huge surplus of Mustangs and burros out of government corrals and find them good homes. We're gonna pay you to take these off our heads to find a good home. What did you think was going to happen, folks? Have you ever, for those people who don't know, right? Once upon a time for the Wayback Machine and the old man stories for CSG. Once upon a time, there was the continent of North America, and it was free from any real infestation. And if you want to know what I'm referring to, I'm talking about mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then we had the Ice Age.
And it all went horribly wrong.
And human beings started to arrive. All right? Now, the Ice Age allowed for humans to come to the North American continent, but it also allowed for animals that were on the North American continent to flow into other areas. One of the animals that was unique, all right, to the North American continent at the time was actually the ancestor of the modern horse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It fled, I guess is the best way to say it, all right, to Asia and then throughout the European theater. All right. In America, when the ice receded, the horses that were left were eaten. And horses became extinct on the American continent. Right, as a result. Now, I know a lot of people don't like hearing this story. All right. I know a lot of people think that I'm just making these things up, but that's part of the geological record.
It's true.
Right? Now, when you think about it, when mankind came over here and was hungry, looking for food, looking for meat, you had a choice. You could go after the short-faced bear, all right? All right, you could go after the dire wolves. You could go after the deer that were 12 foot tall and had antlers, like, sharp antlers. Right? You could go after the woolly mammoths, Or you could go after these small little creatures that are about 4.5, 5 foot tall, that all they could do is run away. Which one are you chasing? At least initially. Don't know about the rest of you. But going after the short-faced bears, the horses are dicks too.
Yeah. I just have to make a point. Shirati, you know you're not meant to carry around horses, yeah? I don't think people explained how it's done to you. They carry you, you don't... Oh, okay, it's a woman. Let's not explain it to her. She'll get confused.
The thing is that, of course, humans ate these things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And since they were the easiest prey item, they became extinct on the North American continent. Now, in Asia, on the being attached to all the landmass where these things could flee, they had a lot more places to roam, right, and get away and spread and migrate and so forth, which is why they flourished. Okay, in Asia, in Europe, and so forth, and once they were domesticated, okay, they were quite useful.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to understand, the reason I'm bringing this up is because you have to understand where the wild horses in America came from. All the wild horses in America are descendants of those horses brought to America by the Spaniards. Okay, this idea that the Native Americans here in the United States, or here in North America, were these great horse riders, and the Comanches, they were fierce warriors on horses and everything. Okay, but they owed their entire lifestyle, all right, their new lifestyle, to the fact that the Europeans came across the ocean. Otherwise, the Comanche were not the feared enemy that everyone had them to be, right? The Apache, all right, were not nearly as successful. Well, why? Because, while horses can roam in a lot of different areas, there's not as many horses in the desert because it's hard to keep them alive, all right? If you don't have areas that have stable water and everything, which is why the Comanche is a little bit further to the east, all right, in New Mexico and Texas area, why they were far more fierce and so forth. It also explains the Sioux. The Sioux, prior to the advent of the horse, the Sioux were looked upon as a nothing tribe, a tribe to be pitied by the other Native American tribes. They were the lowest of the low on the social rung. Until they got a hold of horses. And then it was payback. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Understand this. The feared mounted Sioux warrior only became the feared mountain Sioux warrior due to the fact that the horse was reintroduced to America. Okay? And now you had mobile cavalry. Now you had mobile, the ability to actually expand into other areas. There's a huge difference, all right, between dealing and traveling on foot versus traveling via horse. People forget this. People don't even have, people can't even imagine. It's hard for anyone to really imagine what life must have been like back then.
Yeah.
But here you have a program, all right, getting back to the story, where the government is doing, you got these leftists in charge of the government. Now, they used to have, believe it or not, the process used to be from the government that every few years they would have roundup kills of these wild Mustangs. Okay? That these Mustang herds would get so large that they would literally, go out there, let people, they would give them warrants that people would round these things up, right? And they were allowed to hunt these things, both for both reasons. If you want to kill them and take them to the slaughterhouse, so be it. Or you could sit up there and grab basically free horses, right? Break them, right? The old Wild West way, right? And bring them to your ranch. But wild Mustangs are not as easy to break as people think they are, and it's not something people. They think that these things are just easy little things because they see it on television. You just get on one and you ride for a little bit and everything's fine. And maybe you fall off here and there. Okay? Have you ever fallen off a horse? Have you ever fallen off of these animals? This is not that people get hurt doing this. This is why they were respected. People that could break horses were highly respected and highly regarded because, okay, they were risking their lives, and everybody knew it, and they were good at it. It's not easy to break an animal to domesticate it, especially a wild horse. Some of them you can never break them. Okay, even though they started as a domestic animal, they readily came back, right? They were able to spread across North America because, quite frankly, North America. They began in North America. The North American continent is in a way like a native home to them, right? They would spread everywhere. If it wasn't for fences, Mustangs are assholes with a capital A.
So far, by the way, she's called almost everything asshole. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, she's in one of those moods. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing she didn't see the earlier story.
Oh, that would have been terrible if she'd done that. Good job no one mentions it for her to go back and check.
On to the next story.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Bald eagles are back and they want to eat your pets. The bald eagle population has made a remarkable comeback, but the majestic symbol of American pride is turning out to be a nuisance, especially in Canada. Screw you, Canadians. All right, deal with it. This is just a taste, folks. Flocks have been spotted along highways in the Pacific Northwest, feasting in a landfill in Vancouver. Earlier this year, the ravenous raptors stalked and killed a seagull in front of a shocked onlooker at a busy Vancouver golf course. Seagulls are rats with wings. I was shocked it killed a rat. Oh, please. All right. With an 8-foot wingspan and a distinctive snowy white head, America's national symbol conjures feelings of patriotism and reverence. Not for the Canadians. All right. You're in awe every time you see one, says Jeannie Pesky, who recently moved from New Jersey to British Columbia. You're a Canadian now. Don't go away. All right. Their physicality and presence is so profound that you need to pay homage to them. But Miss Pesky, who owns a consulting agency, has had to explain some National Geographic-worthy encounters with her 5-year-old daughter. One day, I watched an eagle drag a Canadian goose back and forth across the rocks for hours. Well, the Canadian goose was an asshole. Yeah. It needed to be dealt with. Just put it out there. I told her that's how they tenderize their meat. It wasn't long ago that birdwatchers considered the odds of a bald eagle sighting just this side of a unicorn sighting. Though through conservation efforts and banning of chemicals like DDT, the population recovered to numbers that warranted the bird's removal from the endangered species list in 2007. A recent report from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Department found that the numbers have quadrupled to more than 316,000 in 2019, up from 72,000 in 2009. But if you want to keep Fluffy alive, you're going to have to put spikes on it.
That is horrifying. It really is. By the way, hey, memes.
Hey, memes, do you want to come in? If you want to come in, go ahead and
You're
show
welcome to, sir. Just let me know. I'm happy to drop the link in.
All right. So those numbers reflect the population only in the lower 48. Miles Lamont, a biologist at the Hancock Wildlife Foundation, a non-profit Surrey, British Columbia. For some reason, British Columbia is becoming hard to speak. I don't know why. Right? That promotes the conservation of wildlife, particularly the bald eagle and its habitat.
You need to actually say the word "eh" at the end of it. You'll be fine.
Eh? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you factor in the populations from Alaska and Canada, you can add at least another 150,000 or more birds. The spike in numbers has prompted joy among animal lovers and anxiety among others. Owners of small pets have outfitted their little dogs and cats with spike collars and armor-like vests to keep them from becoming bird-fed. Just putting it out there, folks.
Yeah.
Fluffy's on the menu. Just saying, man.
I'm just waiting for them to bring out camo jackets for dogs. Come on. That's going to be brilliant.
Well, okay. I'm going to be real blunt. We had my wife got a Chihuahua one time. Right. The Chihuahua was a Chihuahua mix. The Chihuahua mix was stupid. Okay. It was a stupid dog. Okay. And unfortunately, right, the dog was antisocial. Okay. Not that it tried to bite anybody. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dog didn't. When we called the dog or anything, it wasn't going to be part of the family because it determined it wasn't going to be part of the family. It was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've had dogs all my life. Right? This was the dumbest dog I've ever had. It wasn't friendly. It didn't let you pet it. Right? You know how most dogs come to you and they want to be petted and they want to sit next to you. This dog didn't want anything like that. This was a loner dog. Right? Well, we had this dog for probably at least 6 months, and my wife went out the backyard, right, to throw out the trash. When she opened the gate, the dog got out. Right? My wife called and tried to get the dog, and the dog just kept running. So my wife said, "Okay, I'll put food out here, and when the dog gets hungry, he'll come back." Thinking the animal's gonna go back. The dog never came back. Right, and we put up posters. We put up, I put up pictures and everything around the neighborhood looking for your dog. No, dog was never found. I got asked one day what happened to the dog, and the dog ran off. Got asked, what do you think happened to it? And I said, well, I'm hoping that somebody found the dog, and for whatever reason, the dog decided to like that person and it's been adopted. But most likely, it was running. It was a small creature. It either got killed by a freaking hawk that we have out here. We have lots of hawks, believe it or not, right? Or eaten by a coyote. Right? The coyotes come in Tucson, Arizona. Coyotes come deep into the city. People don't even realize it. They come deep into the city and they eat pets.
Yeah.
If your cat doesn't come home one day and got out and doesn't come home, it's probably because it got turned into freaking coyote food.
Yeah.
It's the circle of life, folks. It happens. You can try to be perfect all you want, but there's no way to be perfect with anything like that. Any animals like that. It's unfortunate, but it's the circle of life. It really is. Yeah.
And to think there are people out there that think that when it comes to nature, everything's going to be glorious and the animals are all living together happily. No. Half of nature wants to eat the other half of nature, and that is literally just the beginning. It goes downhill rapidly.
Unfortunately, yes. But then again, going to the next story, you have people that are opting out of the gene pool. Okay? Let's do this story.
A trip to the San Diego Zoo and a close encounter with a charging elephant has landed a 25-year-old father behind bars. The man took his 2-year-old daughter inside the enclosure, and one elephant took a run at them. He first dropped the girl, then picked her up and scrambled out. He is charged with child endangerment.
No shit, really?
On a possible ceasefire agreement.
I mean, really? This guy is an idiot. You know what? They should stake this guy to the middle of an enclosure and have everybody around in a thing, in an old-style Roman Colosseum, right? And let in an elephant.
Yeah.
Now, why would you bring your 2-year-old daughter with you?
Food?
For an elephant?
Yeah, you throw it, run away, gives you a chance to. Oh, you're not meant to think like that. Sorry.
You know, I mean, what the hell's wrong with you? What kind of moron sits up there and brings their 2-year-old into an enclosure?
Mm-hmm.
No. He when he dropped her, he basically shoved her under the fence. If you take a look at that, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he was trying to protect her after the fact. But what did he think the elephant was going to do? Ask for a peanut? You know, do you not read stories about what elephants did in the past? People use these things. They were called war elephants, and the thing about them was they would let them charge into the line, and you had some idiot, and it had to be an idiot, all right, sitting on top to direct it, because as soon as somebody, stuck the elephant with a spear, the elephant would become enraged and go wherever the hell it wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you had the idiot on top, hopefully trying to push it toward the enemy, because most of the time these things went wild and you didn't know where they were going, including they would rampage through their own troops.
Yeah.
These people, do you realize how large elephants are? All right? Every year, people get killed by elephant. Every year. Elephants they kill people, okay? Because people are stupid.
Yeah.
It's this idea that elephants are nice little, calm little creatures. They're not. Okay? Well, I'm seeing we have all these pictures of the people in India riding on elephants and using them. Yeah, have you ever seen what it takes to, quote unquote, tame an elephant? It's horrific.
Yeah.
Okay? It is. The people talk about elephants, to train an elephant. What it takes to train an elephant. Now, we're not elephants. We don't have an elephant's hide. I understand that. So a flick of a whip on a human being obviously is much more severe than it is on an elephant, because an elephant's hide is very thick. Okay, an elephant's hide is so thick. People, you have to understand this. Its hide is so thick that the claws of beasts like tigers and lions oftentimes aren't, and those claws on lions and tigers are good 4 inches, aren't able to actually get through. Okay, that's how thick the hide is. Right? I've never seen a case where a lion killed an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Even a pride of lions, I don't think, could take down an elephant. Right?
They chase it off more than anything.
Yeah, and the lions understand this.
Yeah.
They think about snacking on a small elephant like a child, like a baby elephant. They think about it now and then, but I've never seen one where it was successful. Okay, I'm not even sure that they could take a child elephant, a baby elephant. I don't think they could even kill a baby elephant. Now they may be able to eat one when it's dead, after it's dead, because they are kind of like scavengers as well. But still, it doesn't take much for an elephant to freaking kill anything. The only thing that could possibly take on an elephant is a rhino. And even then, it's only because the elephant wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it's a head on to each other, rhino's done. There's a reason why rhinos are becoming extinct. It's not just because humans are hunting them, right? It's also because they're in competition for the same food as elephants, and guess which one's superior? It's the elephant. Yeah. Rhinos are not very intelligent, number one. They have very poor eyesight, number two. Elephants have excellent eyesight and are highly intelligent and bigger and have longer tusks.
Mm-hmm.
And heavy.
Sure.
I mean,
you're basically looking with the elephant of like 2.5+ tons of high-speed death coming towards you. It can literally kill you by accident if it steps on you. And what are you going to do? Oh no, an elephant stepped on my foot. I'll just limp and walk it off. No. You answer the name of Lefty if you're a lucky person.
Elephants are also known to target. This is something that people don't know about either very often. Elephants are intelligent enough to target specific individuals.
Yeah.
All right. There are cases where an animal trainer, all right, the elephant has said, "I have had enough of you." Okay. And that elephant will hunt that specific human to kill them because they haven't had enough of the torture from that critter. And they'll ignore other humans as they chase that one specific human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they will look for that human. Okay. And I mean, if that human gets out of its sight, it doesn't just stop. It goes on a hunt. These things, elephants are wonderful creatures. They really are. I really am amazed at them. Unfortunately, however, I think God's mad at them. Lightning kills 18 elephants in India. I think God has it in for the elephant. I don't know what the elephants did, but it looks as if God has had enough. All right. Unfortunately, these elephants are dead, and it's a sad sight. Right. Yep. Because elephants are, first of all, for those who don't know, there's a difference between African elephants and Indian elephants.
Oh yeah.
The biggest difference is size. Okay. African elephants tend to be much larger. All right. Their ears are significantly different. The ears of an African elephant are long and broad, and are part of the natural evolution to try and keep the animal cool in the hotter climates of Africa, right? In comparison to India. In India, the elephants are quite a bit smaller. They're still an elephant, though. I mean, they're still pretty large, right?
Yeah.
But their ears aren't as big. Right? They don't have those big, those huge freaking ears that you see on African elephants. And they tend to be more docile, quite frankly. They're not as aggressive. Right? African elephants are fairly aggressive and always have been. Both. That's not saying that you can't domesticate an African elephant just like you can domesticate an Indian elephant. You can domesticate these creatures, okay? But is it something we really should be doing as humans? Especially if God's going to send lightning bolts to kill herds. Okay, that's a hell of a lightning bolt. You got to admit that.
Oh yeah.
That's not just sitting there going, okay, we'll just hit one. That's like wham! No, that's not enough. Give me a few more of these. Wham! Wham!
Maybe it's just me, but I'm definitely agreeing with you. Thor was very irritated with the elephants. I think they must have spooked him or ruined his picnic or something. It's the only explanation I can give.
Either that or he had a little bit too much to drink and got confused.
Well, yeah, based on what they say about Thor, too much to drink seems like a pretty normal day for him, let's be fair.
A possibility.
Yeah.
All right, final story. Folks, we're going to show this whole thing here. This is a cat. This is in Chicago. The cat is in a burning building, boom, and off I go.
Nothing but respect for that cat.
Watch this cat. This cat comes clear. Now, the thing is knowing how cats think, the cat was aiming for this rock wall, right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing that it missed because it landed on the relatively soft dirt next to it and bounced up. Did you catch that? Look at this thing hit and bounce. Let me go back to it a little further. Watch it hit the ground and bounce off the ground. Boom.
Oh, yeah. Respect to the cat. I mean, it has to be said.
I mean, 5 stories.
Yeah.
5 stories from the. You know what the cat's good. He's out there talking to the other cats. I got 5. You going for 6?
Yep. The thing is, okay, here's the thing for people to remember. If a human tried that, the average description of the person afterwards is pavement pizza. Because that is basically all that is left. The person is turned into air effects smish. But cat, no, he's cool. You know, okay, did it hurt the cat? More than likely. I'm not going to argue that. But the cat walked away, which is a damn sight more than any human could ever hope for.
Yeah, 5 stories, you're not walking away.
No.
Right? 3 stories, a human can get away if they land correctly. Right, and that's only if they just happen to either been trained or learn how to land correctly. 5 stories, you ain't walking away. Something's breaking. Okay, you're not walking away from that, right?
No.
And that kitty hit, went all the way to the ground, bounced back up, and I suspect that it's not happy. Mm-hmm. All right, but that doesn't mean that it has any internal, I'm sure some of its muscles are a little stretched, like it,
yeah,
and so forth. But it was tough enough to take that. I mean, animals can be very tough until God says, "There's 18 of you, you're gone."
In all fairness, if an elephant jumped 5 stories, it would be an experience to see from a very, very long distance away. Because wow. Boom!
Yeah,
ew.
I proposed a physics experiment at college to record the towels from a flying cat to demonstrate the double shift. Carl, I'm not sure. You just wanted to see Super Cat. You just wanted to see a cat jump where you tied basically a cape around it and let it go. And we weren't trying to do anything.
Well, you've heard of Batman, now we've got Catman. Be scared.
Yowls.
Oh, dear.
Oh, my goodness. Animals are amazing creatures. I mean, it's amazing what animals can do. Right? But at the same time, they're living beings, right?
Yes.
They're not infallible. And the other thing about animals are they're individualistic. You can talk about how animals have tendencies. Well, people have tendencies. Groups of people have tendencies. But not every person in that group is going to react the same way, no matter what it is. So the same thing applies to animals, right? Except for fish. Right? The herding instincts of fish are pretty well known. I mean,
yeah.
But
there are another creature that's not so good if it jumps from a 5-story building. Has to be said.
Well, some of them can leap pretty high in the air. I mean, sharks get some air to them when they're going after seals.
True, but again, if somehow you get a shark to the top of a 5-story building right off the edge, it's probably not going to be doing much apart from, looking really, really confused as it goes plummeting downwards. Let's be fair.
Well, let me view the picture. What does a confused shark look like?
Actually, I don't know. That'd be kind of funny to see, to be fair.
This is the confused shark, as opposed to the one that's really pissed off.
Oh, you can tell the one's pissed off. It's the one just behind you. What? You
don't think it's looking down at the other one that hit the ground, and you get ready to shove the next one off, looking at you, going, "Well, what happened to Charlie?" Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, I've worked out why it was doing it. It was chasing the cat. It wanted food. That's what it was.
Cat was on the menu. Yeah. As opposed to the horses we talked about earlier.
True. Actually, in all fairness, it was probably after the elephant remains. I mean, let's face it, there's a good meal there.
Oh, yeah, I can eat for days. Eat for days. For those who don't know, right, when we were talking about horses earlier, and we started talking about Native Americans and the first Americans, the first people that came onto the American continent. After the horses were gone, they obviously had to take up hunting the heavier creatures, right? And it has been known humans are known to hunt woolly mammoth, right? Now, for those who don't know, all these movies that show the 6 or 7 hunters, chasing the woolly mammoth, right, with their spears, that was bullshit. Okay. Right. Not saying that the humans didn't have spears or carry spears, but they were not hunting the woolly mammoth by trying to surround it and then stick it, and then the next one would jump in and stick it, and things like that. That's not what they did.
No.
What they did is they used the smarts. Mm-hmm. There's a woolly mammoth. It's almost in the trap. It's almost in the area, right? There. And then they came out and chased these things holding torches.
Yep.
Because flame has a way of panicking animals, right? Including humans. But flame is a really good way of getting animals to run and flee without thinking. And they would generally try to chase these things off cliffs.
Yeah.
And if it went off a cliff or it stopped at the cliff, then they would try to point, with the flame and the spear, try to drive it over the cliff, all right, to kill it. Mm-hmm. They did not try to take these things down in hand-to-hand combat. Okay. It's not saying that those things didn't take place, because when the humans just walk in where it goes and then it hears something like oh shit, I'm a road patty. All right. I mean, obviously I wasn't paying attention enough and I wandered into the wrong area, and Mr. Mammoth has looked at me and said, "You're a road patty." Yeah, at that point, the human may actually try to stick the animal and kill the animal with a spear, but he's not really trying to kill the animal so much as go away and let me live, please. Oh, please let me live. The human is in desperation mode, right?
It's true. It's avoidance more than termination. Let's be blunt here.
Yes.
Though then again, there's also rumour that humanity had this genius idea of half of the hunters would herd the elephant towards the sides of a cliff, and the other half bit at the top rolling a boulder off and dropping it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that'll work too. Mm-hmm. All right. The idea that we are descended from the stupid cavemen, all right? Stupidly, they were brave, but they were stupid. No, we're descended from the smart ones that were like, you know what? That's a really dumb idea, Charlie. You want to go out there and take on the elephant? Go ahead. Hurt like hell, didn't it? Yeah, you don't want to do it. Here, let's try it this way.
In all fairness, Oz, Chuck Norris's ancestors would take them on by herds in hand-to-hand combat because they're that hard.
Well, the first thing that Chuck Norris's ancestors did is trip them in the schoolyard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just that. Anyway, but these people have the long. For example, the Sioux Indian. When people talk about their hunting the buffalo and the sacred buffalo and everything else, prior to the advent of the horse, right, being reintroduced to the North American continent, one of their big techniques was to light prairie fires.
Yeah.
In multiple areas to drive them off cliffs. Whole herds of buffalo off of a cliff. And then they'd pick through the remnants of the ones that survived. The ones that died, and they would sit up there and take what they needed. All right. And they would try to, of course, take as much food as absolutely possible.
Yeah.
Why? Because the more food you have, the longer you live. The less you have to hunt. This is how they lived. This was the way they did. And they would go after these creatures, all right, on foot. Now, in the wintertime, you know what you can't do real easily? Light forest fires.
This is the thing. This is true.
And so at which point they would wear the carcasses and wear the fur of wolves to try and get kind of close to a herd and try and pick off the weak one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But that was not their normal hunting strategy. That was only the strategy they used in the wintertime because they had to. Our ancestors were not stupid. The Native Americans were not stupid. All right? You use what you can when you can. You adapt, you overcome, and you move forward.
Yeah.
Right? That's how animals lived. Right? There's a reason that our ancestors or the ancestors of man learned to use poison. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is we also learned to use it on each other, but that's a separate issue, right? But the first thing they used poison for was just like the Native Americans down in South America. They put them on spears, and they put them on darts, and they would use that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Sioux Indian as in Native Americans, or the Sioux Indian as the was chasing water from the I was talking about the Native Americans. They were called, the other Indians referred to the Sioux or the Lakota, which Lakota only means the people, for those who don't know. They were called dog people. Right? And they got that name because that's how they would hunt, like I said, in the wintertime, how they would hunt the buffalo. Is they would go out with the, wearing the fur and kind of act like, wolves. Okay. Because the bison were not afraid of humans. what does that tell you?
Why? I wonder why. By the way, MC, just a minor point. You were talking about elephants and their hunting, etc. You do know tigers do the same thing, don't you? If a tiger gets it in his head to take out one specific person for whatever reason, usually because the idiot human has, pissed off the tiger, it will have no problem doing this, breaking into the village, going through all of the houses until it finds its target, turns its target into wallpaper, and leaves, and just the people in the village wake up the next morning, and all they've got is Abdul smeared all over the wall.
Well, when that's happening, is Abdul just being quiet? The rest of the village going, oh, we didn't hear a thing. Bullshit. They were like, yeah,
stupid.
they were like, finally, they're getting rid of Abdul. Good.
Yeah.
Because Abdul was probably more of an asshole to them than he was to Tiger.
Well, let's be honest, okay? You got the tiger going to village to mess up Abdul's place. Do you want to be the next villager that goes along and pisses off this tiger? Or do you want some other muppet to do it? You're going to stay there, and the rest of the people are going to stay there. No one cares about Abdul. Goodbye. To be fair.
Well, I mean, if Abdul was your child, you might want to get involved.
They'll have another one. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I can take you out
and I'll make another one just like you.
Yeah. I mean, good God, there's actually rumours that back in to old days, they actually didn't give kids names until they got to 5 years old.
No, that's true.
Yeah, that's
in
bad.
In Korea, they celebrate the 100 day. And the 100 day is their birth. That is what they consider their birthday. Not the day they were born, but that they've lived 100 days. So therefore, the baby is now. They assume at that point the baby is viable. All right. Well, I mean, when you talk about back in the days, surviving. It's a different. Back in those days, survival of children was hardly guaranteed.
True.
Most people, most humans didn't make it to 20.
Yeah.
Thing to remember is our species, in a lot of ways, is kind of odd in that it even exists. Okay, because most until technology caught up to it, until you have modern technology, the technology of the past was just barely capable of keeping humans alive, keeping the human species alive, and slowly growing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, as mankind got more technology, all right, that's how mankind became more and more powerful, especially when mankind learned agriculture.
Yeah,
that's when mankind really kicked off. The spread of man. And when I say the spread of man, I'm talking about from numbers perspective. I mean, mankind had spread across the planet. That was one of the advantages mankind had, is that it was not. Man is able to live in any environment.
Yeah.
Okay. No other creature can say that, with the exception of the ocean. We don't.
I would argue they are actually rats, but they would base that purely again on humanity, because anywhere a human can live, a rat can live. And if you're about to say, "Oh, really? What about the ISS?" Apparently, they have actually found rats there.
Well, they brought the rats there to study.
I meant that some rats have escaped and survived there. It's not just they're shoved in cages.
Oh, I know. I'm
good.
sure they escaped. It's easy enough to get rid of them, though.
True. It's called open the door. Yeah, I know.
Kind of sucks to breathe, don't it? Yeah.
Give it about.
One of the advantages of the ISS is pest control is relatively simple.
Give it about maybe 50 years, and you see the rat sitting there wearing a gas mask and a little backpack of oxygen, and with its claw just held up, middle finger raised high and smiling. At that point, you know humanity is dead.
You'll know humanity is dead when the rat freaking goes, "Oh, look, a gun."
Oh, yeah, there's that too. He's not wrong. Mm-hmm.
But rats can only live with humans, right? They can't live without them. They're not found outside of humanity. Mm-hmm. From that perspective, you are correct, though. The rats. Well, let's be honest. There's going to be several animals, all right, that as humans travel the universe or escape this planet, assuming that we don't get hit with a lightning bolt or a giant rock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's certain animals that are coming with us.
Yeah.
Okay. Dogs and cats are coming with us.
Yeah.
The way it is, right? Rats will come with us as well. Now, rats are the only ones that are coming with us on their own their own volition, right? They're not coming as pets, right? They're just coming with us. All right. So those are three creatures that are going to go out with mankind and be part of the exploration of the universe. I truly believe that. Right?
Yeah.
Now, whether or not we're able to move other farm animals, and so forth. I mean, people would love to bring cattle with them as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if Bessie's going to do well on the rocket ship.
You know what? I've actually had theories on that one. Yeah, that's right. It does depend on how long it takes between point A and point B. If we're just going to Mars, no, I will actually agree with you, purely because strangely enough, there's not enough time. It's the generational modification of the creatures. After all, you get a cow, you slap it on a zero-G platform, for instance, a spaceship, and you go buggering off into space towards said planet. When it has the child, because you're not an idiot, you make sure it's pregnant, the child itself will actually be ever so slightly more resistant to the space effects. You do that to the child of the first one, it will be even more resistant. And by about 3, maybe 4 generations, and remember, animals actually have very fast generations. Again, rats, just making the point. At that point, they are going to be exceptionally more resistant to the effects of zero-G gravity than humans ever will.
Probably. But then again, you got to land on a planet, and the planet's going to have gravity again.
At that point, again, you're having the same situation of a couple of generations. The creatures, if they survive, and I am stressing that word, but they will actually probably do better than humanity will. It's purely the fact that humanity has the ability to cause nature to change to its will, quite simply.
Well, it can
build
create,
stuff.
It can modify the environment around it to survive.
Yeah.
Right. That's the advantage of human beings. That's very true. But it would be interesting if you took a cow, did what you said, right? Land on another planet, right? The cows go back to being their own creatures. Are they going to be cows anymore? Or are they going to be an entire different species that react completely
That's true.
It would be kind of, it's a great experiment, right? Assuming we could do it, right? I mean, there's a lot of ifs there.
Yeah, and I actually agree with you there, Oz. That would possibly be the other way, that they would produce them once they get to said other planet. They just wouldn't transport them in the first place. Probably just take the genetics of said creature for ease of effect, to be honest.
But they're going to have to be adapted to the planet, to whatever planet we go to. That's going to take several generations, right? Yeah. And what's more is there's going to be other things that happen initially. The survival isn't guaranteed because it only takes one virus that early on that could wipe out the entire crop.
Let's be fair, we just look at the Indians and what happened when the Europeans went over. Literally, right there is the evidence, and that's on the same planet. We're now going to another planet where we're getting, air quotes, space diseases.
Right, but the difference is that in North America, when diseases went rampant, all right, when the diseases went rampant at that point, is there were plenty of Native Americans that survived.
Yeah.
Right. Because you had so many people, though. That's the difference. Okay. On a planet, you have a limited number of people when you first land, right?
Yes.
You don't have the ability to survive. You may not survive simply because there's not enough of you to survive in that regard. It'll be our exploration of the universe is going to be quite interesting, assuming that we get to that point. Like I said, assuming that two things: one, that God doesn't hit us with a rock or a lightning bolt, right? And two, the other aliens don't go, "Oh no, this disease doesn't spread. This disease doesn't spread no further than this."
That's true. That is
the aliens are like, no, this has got to go.
Daddy, what's that spaceship doing? Oh dear. And you just sort of leave it there.
Exactly. What's that? Oh God, it's a human. Get it! Don't let it get away! Don't worry, son. They taste like chicken.
I agree there, Oz. That is another way of doing it. But to be honest, if you're looking at tomb ships, which is what that would basically be, that would be a horrible thought to actually make. Hey, Candid.
Hi, Candid. Unfortunately, we're getting toward the end of the stream here. I think we've been talking for long enough.
Yeah,
a couple hours here. So I think that's it, Johnson. Jensen. I think we've had about everything that we covered everything that I wanted to. Is there something you want to cover? You want to talk about?
To be honest, nothing is jumping out at me. We've pretty much covered everything that needs to be done. So what I will say is this: thank you very much, everybody, for coming out and listening. I'm sorry you've only just popped in, Candid, and you missed the fun and joys. And again, whatever you do, don't go back to the beginning and listen to what was said about Shirati. That would not be a good thing whatsoever. Bye, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.